Hey everybody, happy Sunday. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me here in Georgia. I'm in Alpharetta, Georgia, and it's pouring rain. So hopefully our internet will hold up, and if anything happens, we'll figure out a way to come back alive and to support you. So I'm just gonna wait for my team to let me know that they can hear me and that all is good. Give it a minute and let me know. If you guys want to give me the thumbs up that you can hear me, that would be great too. Make sure that things are looking good, that you can hear me, there's no issues. I'm just going to give it a moment for you guys to sort of come in. Today's going to be a very important topic, thank you for letting me know. I was preparing for my today's session, and I usually go with really going deep within to see what comes up for me. And it's interesting, just even last night, I was out on a dinner and we were talking about my twin sister, and tears welled up. There was so much repressed emotions there that it surprises me. It surprises my spouse how much I get revved up. And so today I really want to talk to you guys about missing ingredient to your healing and how neurogenically, through the polyvagal theory, the vagal nerve being the vagabond of all cranial nerves, and really understanding the ventral and the dorsal aspects of this polyvagal theory and how this applies to our somatic response. So psycho means our mind and our feelings and our thoughts, and somatic is our physical body and then the manifestations. And I just want to let you guys know today is number one key missing ingredient in all of your lives is your self-love, your ability to show up for you, placing your hand on your heart, doing all the things to be relevant, to really do things to feel good about yourself, when in reality you don't feel so good about yourself, is what's being perpetuated in our culture. It exists in every single one of us, and it's something that I want to bring to awareness here in our autoimmune community. Because the last I checked, statistically, 75 million people, you guys, have pre-autoimmunity. It's really becoming an epidemic. I have my master's degree in public health. I studied epidemiology, and it's one of those things. And I am telling you, after the year like last year, we all have some trauma. And I just want to kind of share sort of my experience and in my evolution with consciousness and expansion and elevating my consciousness. That was required for me to really understand my mother, my father, understanding that, at the end of the day, they too had traumatic events. They lived through being displaced and going hungry and anxiety that ensued from the Korean War. And they were barely 6 years old, 5 years old, and all their brains were being formed. And to go through that, and for me to look at them and have blame for how they raised me, completely unfair. And that's why I tell you guys, when we do the work, we come to a place where we forgive ourselves, that we're full of self-love, so much so that we can extend the peace and the joy that exists within us, within this ecosystem. But that can only be when you choose to come and occupy your own body. Because today I do want to bring awareness to trauma, right? Because trauma is a fact of life. It does not, though, have to be a way of life. It doesn't have to be a life sentence. Yet, I tell you guys, many of my autoimmune patients, in fact, 100% of them, including myself, we live stuck to what we understand of ourselves based on the past conditioning. We live in memory of what we think we are, stepping into the identity of who we believe ourselves to be, as opposed to really starting with a clean slate. And that's why when you do this work, it really goes deeper than just healing autoimmunity, doing the dietary changes and doing this and doing a little better, a little different, a little more year after year, taking different medications. We really get to change the trajectory of our generation. The buck stops with us as we become elevated to end all unnecessary suffering in the world, right? And the missing ingredient to your healing is your self-love, self-regard, and self-respect. No matter what you think, what you say, that key factor is missing in your life. And this is what I see time and time again. And this is simply because it's not something we were taught. We weren't taught to be living from consciousness, right? And to be a little bit more self-aware. Many of us were indoctrinated into believing into family values. We adapted to family religion. It's as if we were born expected to fit into a box. And if it works for you, that's great. There's no changing that. I'm not trying to dismiss any of your family values, but whatever perceptions you hold to be true is your interpretation based on what happened. What stories are you choosing to tell based on the events that happened in your life? Because the truth is, we may be born into the same house, same culture, religion, but based on our personal interpretations and perceptions by which we make stories to ourselves, we may have completely different lives that play out in our lives. Case in point is me and my sister and my siblings. I have 2 older brothers. I'm the youngest of 4. I am a twin, and my twin sister does not have any autoimmune conditions. And we all have such different perspectives over what happened when growing up. My sister doesn't even like to talk about it. It's as if it's something that she chose to bury deep within. And it's something that we fight over a lot. And in her efforts to protect and guard herself, there's been a lot of hurt coming my way. And I used to think I had a great personality and I can absorb all that. But through the process of my divorce 6 years ago, and really understanding where her mind was when she was looking at me and how her trauma played out in her life really made me realize, wow, this is really, really deep stuff that I thought was under my control, but it wasn't. Our parents were partial to some of us. And the only reason why I tell you my story is because hopefully when I tell you my stories, you can see yourselves in the same thing. And stories help us to realize, sort of put the mirror back to us, right? Because to talk about ourselves is something that is kind of frowned upon in our culture today. It was for me anyways, in my culture. But I'm hoping that through me being vulnerable with my story, that you can see yourselves in the process, right? Our parents were partial to some of us, and even though same scenarios or circumstances happened in our lives, what we made of it meant very different things personally. Like I said, I'm the youngest of 4, and I have a twin sister who lives to resent and blame me, my father, my mom, my brothers, for what happened to her. She chooses the meanings for her life, and while she has a wonderful life, she sort of managed to isolate herself, and her own kids now resist her, resent her. She's playing the same generational thing because she tries to control them, to try to feel safe. Something she never got, she claims, in our childhood was the safety that she longed. Because my parents, like I told you, neglected and abandoned us to get the life started here in the United States. But in our young minds, when we're left behind with our alcoholic grandmother in Korea, many, many years ago when we were little girls, 6 and 7, that we didn't have the ability to understand that. So my nephews and nieces, which are my sister's kids, are not very happy, and they struggle with her need to control them. And now there's a lot of rebellion going on, and she's really sad to keep it together. And like I said, my mom grew up in a very broken household, unfathomable things. My grandmother was alcoholic. Go to find out, she had 5 girls. She always had struggling health. But then my grandfather had to get a concubine because back in the day in Korea, sons were so hard to come by. And my mom was very rich and they had all these assets. And God forbid they leave it to the girls. And back then, my mom was forbidden to get educated. It's something that she resented her mom. So my mom, I know, has very conflicting relationships with my grandmother who passed away, right? So understanding all this and then the sick codependency and the chaos that ensued in her life to create that kind of control and her need to control her kids kind of played out in the manipulation and everything she did. It was in her mind, it's in our best interest, but two, also at the same time, I know that it's subconscious to her, meaning it's not conscious choice for her to do the things that she did, right? But the deep wounds happened in my life as a result of the way she parented. Truth be told, I was good about shrugging it off. And because I had a very good, like, sort of play, and even if something hurt bad, we were taught not to express our feelings in the household because that was unproductive, to cry and to really feel and be touchy-feely. We were just taught to shrug it off, just dust off and go forward and do the next best thing, right? And so that feeling, our ability to feel, me being the sensitive of the 4 kids, it was really, really hard for me, right? And I don't know if you guys all know Dr. Terry Walls, who has MS. And I kind of studied with her shoulder to shoulder through the Institute of Functional Medicine, speaks about lifestyle factors. She even talks about how stress is ultimately what perpetuates sickness. And she talks about all the doing, right? Changing the diet, exercise, right? But while diet, exercise, and meditation are good things, many of you have monkey minds to contend with, not to mention the unresolved emotional traumas and wounds that must be pulled up to the surface of awareness in order for you to finally allow them to be, to metabolize, detoxify, and eliminate. There's a process by which you do that, right? It's called somatosensory physiological work. And it's a certain way that you can do that through your breath, through your movement, to really bring it up into your body to understand that you're stuck in this polyvagal theory of this fight or flight and this highly anxious state of being. And really, you guys, the cost of autoimmunity in our lives extends beyond the monetary value. If I had an encouraging mentor, a guide, support when I was lost, when I was first diagnosed and wasn't told and was told exactly what I'm teaching you right now, I know without a shadow of a doubt that my life would look very differently. I wouldn't have been circling around for 18 years trying to figure it all out, trying to piece together all the missing pieces, and just doing surface work only did, like I said, marginal benefit to healing myself. All of you guys have the deeply seated wounds and trauma, and if left unnoticed, while the expert practitioners preach what they understand for you to do, the diets and supplements and meditation and exercise, all the doing won't change your identity of being. And that's why we have to shift your being at the identity, at the deep root level. Because here's the thing, confidence in yourself, right? Being unapologetically yourselves, true to your core being, is what's exactly lacking in your lives. Because we're programmed to be who we are conditioned to be. So we must get clear on what those characteristics are and get clear on where we are in order to move the needle towards where we want to go. And again, that brings us to self-love, and how to cultivate that. It means everything. And really, that's the work, right? Because our childhood is where the subconscious mind is formed. And at the beginning of our series together, I said 90% of what you do day in and day out comes from your subconscious mind. It's the habituation. And if you know Joseph Dispenza's work, he talks about breaking the habit of being yourself, because that habituation is what keeps us stuck. And many of us are stuck in suffering and pain and perpetuating of disease, right? And so I need you to master your being. So pull out your workbook and refer to your workbook, because number one, it says, what are you committed to do? And who do you need to be to make whatever it is you're committed to do happen, right? And you have to be very clear about what that looks like. Many of your minds will gloss over and don't want to do the thing, but I need you to really pay attention and really write that down. And then number two, second question in your workbook is, who would I be if I had a North Star? Like, what would your vision of your life be? And can you even fathom what that looks like? Because remember I told you, when you set out to drive somewhere, you have to be clear at where you're going. For me to drive from here to, say, Miami, Florida for vacay, or to California, I have to set my navigation so I know it'll give me the route by which to get there in the most effective and efficient way. Otherwise, any road will get me there, but I don't know where I'll end up, right? And that's how most of you guys are living. You must work from your North Star, right? Not to it, whatever that may be. You can't define what that looks like, just blindly go and try these different things. That's where you're going to be spinning your wheel. What has been your biggest blind spot in this program? What have you realized about yourself through our time together? Because this is our last day, right? Your blind spots tend to keep you trapped, right? And how you do something is how you do everything, right? And content for the context really matters in everything that you do and how you show up for yourselves in your life. Lastly, you must create a new way of being to do the things that align with your true identity to the core. So stop working from your old identity. Choose to recreate your identity, you guys. That's the work. Whether you go forward with me or not doesn't matter, but I've given you enough to think about to shift the way of being, right? Don't be busy doing the things. Doing will only help to the extent. Doing is only the content, but you need the context by which you show up. You have to be first to do the thing to have the health you want, right? You can't wish on a North Star and wish that if only I had health right now, then and only then will I do to be the person. That's working backwards. That'll never work, because you will always revert to who you are being. And that subconsciousness, that inner work, requires you, honest to goodness, to have somebody like me to mentor you through the process. Before I talk about the program though, because you know that the card is open and we are inviting more and more people. And I can tell you, everybody that's in there, they're not just doing surface level work. They're really truly getting empowered to live out their best selves. That affects their autoimmunity, yes, because it changes the way they look at themselves, and their relationship with their autoimmunity is one of empowerment, no matter what. And that commitment to themselves is what I hold them to. And that's the work for 12 months, right? Not only do I give them the pieces of the puzzle, the whole alkaline method puzzle of working with the subconscious mind and shifting it through a healthier state with all the tools, month by month, week by week, to work on what that looks like to have that shift, and really fully understanding and owning and stepping into their power by being responsible for what they create in that first element. In the second element is all about being conscious to all the things that happen in their lives through the 3 pillars that I lay out to make that shift from sick to health, understanding that life is full of the spectrum. You never lose sight of the joy that you feel from the inside out. You no longer live your life subject to the circumstances of your life. You end up becoming a creator of your life. And that is going to be the biggest gift that I can give you. The third element of the alkaline method is all about my knowledge base. It's all the didactic trainings that I have in psychology, master's in nutrition, physical medicine, and my Institute of Functional Medicine certified practitioner program, as well as energy medicine and yoga, all the things that I know how to pull it together to really get down to your neurogenic effects, to address the psychosomatics utilizing different testing, supplements, and herbals that I might give you along with the diet. But now that becomes something that you do from a place of the context that we've shifted, so that content now becomes easily adopted. Now you're coming at it from a place of being the person you need to adapt and apply the things that you need. So you have clarity in knowing exactly what you're doing. There's never chaos. There's never overwhelm or confusion or contradiction, because you finally come home to you and understanding that you've been neglecting you to really numb the pain because you didn't know how to feel what you were supposed to feel. And then the last element is all about timeless wisdom. It's me teaching you how to respect the seasons, where you are demographically in the world, to only respect the produce and the fruits that are in season, to how to really touch and feel and be present here and now with the earth and the ecosystem all around you, and be a little bit more aware. And I'm going to tell you and teach you a little bit about the vagal tonality by which we can observe things happening in our central nervous system called the autonomic nervous system. Because there's a panic button that's been turned on for so long that's wrecking havoc within. And we have to go to the subconscious mind element and move forward into the conscious mind element to kind of apply the modern medicine element to come full circle to the timeless wisdom. And now that becomes a spectrum. It becomes the journey. It's a complete whole to make you whole, make you in alignment with all the things in your alignment or in your environment, right? So I want to introduce you to the concept of what I learned from Dr. Levine. He's a somatic experiencing approach author and founder, right? He talks about how the way we experience our physiological experience based on our psychological impact, right? It tends to be that one of self-protective motor response and release of like pent up energy. That becomes like stuck in this survival mode, right? And it becomes bound in the body as trauma. And then it manifests as different symptoms. We can relive the trauma over and over again, and it's completely subconscious to us because it's what happened, but we're so attached because we were incapable of allowing that to surface or metabolize. Sometimes it's full of shame. Sometimes it's full of guilt. Sometimes it's full of fear and anxiety so much that we want to repress those feelings. We're taught not to look at those things, right? And it's an approach that gently nudges you and guides you to develop increasing tolerance for difficult bodily sensations and suppressed emotions. That's the work that brings things to surface. Some of you, one particular, asked me about, she argued about how animals, right? I have a puppy, love animals, and I respect animals and all life really, right? But Dr. Levine studied how animals discharge the shock, right? It's a primitive brain for them to discharge the stress, right? And he studied the trauma and the stress on the animal nervous system. He realized that animals are constantly under threat of death, yet show no symptoms of trauma. And he discovered that trauma has to do with the third survival response to the perceived life threat, which is freeze. Because when you look at deer, because I live in the country and we have a lot of deer around us, when there's a noise, or even my puppy, when I'm working in my office and there is a delivery man that comes, initially my dog will freeze. And it's almost like that primitive response to like listen for the threat, right? And it's like playing dead. It's like when fight and flight are not options, we freeze and we immobilize, like playing dead, right? That's what happens in the animal kingdom. This makes us less of a target. However, this reaction is time sensitive. In other words, it needs to run its course, and the massive energy that was prepared for fight or flights gets discharged through shakes and trembling. If the immobile phase doesn't complete, then that charge stays trapped. And from the body's perspective, it's still under the threat. And that's what his work wraps around, the somatic experiencing method, which works to release the stored up, pent up energy and turn off the threat alarm that causes severe dysregulation and dissociation. Many of you guys are dissociated with your body because it's so hard to feel what it feels, right? And it's one of the side effects of the trauma that's trapped in the body, right? I want to introduce you to the work that I apply in the work that I do in the modern medicine. It's highly neuroscientific. It's called polyvagal theory, right? It's key. The vagal nerve is key to understand, right? To fully heal our trauma and restore health back to our nervous system is why I introduced this concept. Because let's talk about humans versus animals. We have, as humans, we have full of emotions, we have attachments, and we have the ability to communicate and self-regulate. We get information about connection and survival mechanisms. If you've ever had kids, when you have an infant in your arms, I breastfed both of my boys. When they were anxious, they look to the connection. When I lock my eyes and they latch on to the milk and they make eye contact and I'm able to soothe as a mom and calm their nervous system, that's the right response. Not many of us were afforded that kind of love. We might have been neglected. Something happened in our childhood, right? We might have been orphaned, whatever happens, right? Vagus nerve is our parasympathetic nervous system. It is the part of the nervous system that is responsible for slowing down, right? And there are 3 neural circuits for regular functioning. Number 1 is like what I talked about, freezing for life-threatening things like immobilization. Second is mobilization. You move, you have interest, you have energy, and you have inspiration, right? And then third neural circuitry regulated by this parasympathetic nervous system is social engagement and social connection. Like I said, infants, part of us that needs to be primed to learn and connect with the mothers. That's why the work and then the group that I formulated is so much about the connection that you never had. I provide you with a safe space for you to come open about your traumatic wounds, and you now become seen, heard, and loved, something you didn't receive from your personal upbringing. Now you're able to afford that inside the group. From me, extended from each of the members, is why we're very selective at who comes into the program. Because again, I really believe we're the average of 5 people we surround ourselves with. And if you're like most, we surround ourselves with what by default is around us. And it's not the people that are elevated in their consciousness. Because what happens is, like, just as a crab, if you can watch a bucket of crab, when one of the crabs starts to crawl up outside of the bucket, you know what the rest of the crab does? It pulls it down. Everybody around you subconsciously does not want you to change. They don't want to bring awareness to their hurts their lack of ability to consciously evolve and grow. And when they see you doing things for your health or getting on a diet and doing different things, you'll find that people around you, they resist. Especially you see this in spousals, right? When a woman or the wife wants to lose weight, because he's so used to her being overweight and being miserable, all of a sudden when she starts to look good and feel good, it becomes a threat to him, or it reveals how lazy he might be. And if he's unwilling, he doesn't want her to do any better, right? This is subconscious, you guys. It's not that he's a bad person. It's just our way that we're primed to be human beings. We like what's familiar, safe, and effective and efficient, right? We like what's easy. And that's the part I need you to really understand, right? Because our parasympathetic nervous system, many of us are in a high tone. We're shut down, we're immobilized, we're in a state of shock, right? And that pathway prepares us for preservation of energy in preparation for us to like decipher if we're in a threatening condition. I know that I'm locked in, and I've been locked in to that state for so long, because you hear anything, I flinch. And when I drive, I become very reactive and my heart rate goes up and everything becomes a life and death situation. It like goes on like high speed. And I know that that is the way with many of you. There's an anxiety-ness about you. The other part of the spectrum is complete lethargy and complete adrenal fatigue. It's complete depletion of energy. It's depression, and it's that complete reservation. So, and this is all part of the parasympathetic nervous system, right? Because there's different branches to it, and it's highly scientific. Because based on the psychosomatic therapy, there's two types of orienting. Number one is one of defensiveness. If there's a loud noise, potential threat, you have to figure it out. And so you have to kind of listen, right? Animals in the wild, when someone comes to the house, my dog orients defensively to see, and he starts to like bark, right? And then second part of orienting is explorative. Take in what's around you. Be present here in the now, and being and listening to the bird chirping, and then appreciating the sun ray, looking at the moon, really watching the sunrise or the sunset, and really enjoying in the moment of other people. Those are the two types of orienting. And in a healthy system, we don't have to think about the two. We look both ways. We're able to be flexible. But if we had childhood trauma where we felt unsafe, bad things happen to us, and we survive them, we become highly anxious and stuck in the cycle of defensive orienting, right? Our environment is a constant attack, and it keeps us into this stress response. Look around, be vigilant, always be anxious, hypervigilance, hypersensitive, right? Many of you guys have become hypersensitive even to chemicals, even to makeup, even to food. That's what I want you guys to understand. That it's biologic, yes, driven by the parasympathetic nervous system, the vagal tone. And how you modulate that is largely an inside job, is why I call the healing an inside job. And I'm going to share my screen here so that you guys can understand what is all entailed in our program. If you have not done so and you've been kind of on the fence, get on a call with Jessie. She is a lovely human being. All our team members are here too. And I didn't really go through the housekeeping, but I will do quickly right now is we have the team members here. It's Pam Alkaline, Leslie Alkaline, and Kayla Alkaline, as well as Jessie Alkaline is here doing all the things to coach you through to make sure this is the right fit. She's doing discovery calls. I can have Leslie Alkaline drop a link here to get on a call with Jessie to make sure this is the right program for you, as well as that we're the right fit for you as well. We want to make sure that you're set up for success, right? And this is not just one-off, superficial, just scratch the surface type of a program. This is the program that's going to change you from the inside out once and for all. I am super confident, and I look so much forward to working with you at that deep level, because I get to really be a part of you, and I mentor and coach you through for a full year to see you transform. It's the most edifying gift to me as well as to you. And this is going to be the best investment, the one investment that you can make, and it's truly towards healthcare, you creating your health once and for all. And what that means is that you no longer have to be limited by the limits of autoimmunity, right? Knowing that, let's talk about some symptoms of undischarged stress, right? So something to the left of the graph, traumatic event happens and we fluctuate up and down. When we're stuck on the on cycle of our parasympathetic nervous system, we're on kind of bordering on the sympathetic fight or flight, right? And symptoms might include anxiety, panic, hyperactivity, right? Exaggerated startle, which I had for a long time and I still do, inability to relax, restlessness, hypervigilance, digestive problems. How many of you have that? Emotional flooding, chronic pain, sleeplessness, hostility, and rage ensues. When you're stuck on the off cycle, symptoms might include depression, flat effect, lethargy, deadiness, right? Exhaustion, chronic fatigue, disorientation, disconnection, dissociation, complete complex syndrome, and pain and low blood pressure and poor digestion ensues there as well, right? Remember, we talked about the tree, right? The roots are where it's at and the soil is your environment. That's all your lifestyle stuff. How you handle the roots is how your leaves are going to be. The symptoms are your leaves. And most of the practitioners and experts in holistic space wants to just address what you can see, never the roots and the soil. And our autoimmune health transformation includes working with me for 12 months. And it's a journey where it's a self-healing journey that is guided, and we address all the psycho as well as somatic dysfunctions with the 4 elements in the alkaline method, which makes it unique in its category. There is no other program like this in the industry that really aims you for all. It includes an initial functional medicine consultation with me, and it's a one-on-one to identify the root cause of your condition. I am so trained and I'm able to see beyond what you can see, and I get to see you once and for all. For the first time in your life, you're going to feel understood, supported, loved, and mentored, and you're going to feel safe. Okay. And then we have group functional medicine follow-ups every other month and group sessions with me to check in and assess your health state. And there's the 3-month alkaline detox protocol on the 3rd month, which includes anti-inflammatory diet plans, supplements, and shakes in the way of meals, which I give you over 72 meals in that 28 days that will heal your gut and decrease inflammation biologically. And then it also includes supplement bundles for a full year to optimize your health, okay? It's 12 months of mindset coaching modules to really address your autonomic nervous system. It includes videos, workbooks, and assignments tailored to help you to shift your identity from disempowered victim to empowered self-healing rebel. Right? You change at the identity level. I meet with you grouply to give you the mindset coaching calls so you're never without guidance, as well as a private Facebook group where we stay connected. There's live yoga with me and our alkaline method specialists because mobilizing is part of conditioning our autonomic nervous system, our vagal tone, to kind of modulate it through the breath. These are some of the techniques that I introduce, and make sure that you're doing these things for the healing effect to ensue in your body, as well as access to the Autoimmune Health Transformation online educational portal full of self-healing tools, including educational videos, recorded yoga classes, guided meditations, recipes and cooking tutorials, mindset work, videos, downloads, and workbooks, and so much more. And as I mentioned, private Facebook group for exclusive content and to foster connection with other self-healing rebels, because again, we want to be heard, we want to be seen, we want to be supported. We surround ourselves with elevated minds who have the ability to expand their thoughts to really empower themselves to create the health and life that they want. And that's part of the group that you get to be a part of. There's weekly group accountability check-ins with an accountability coach trained by the Alkaline Method, who will make sure you're staying on track with your program and ask any questions that will ultimately come to me if need be. Access to the Alkaline Method app right on your phone, which you can use to track your progress, as well as to message us, and support and accountability from our entire Autoimmune Health Transformation team. Okay, your journey through the Autoimmune Health Transformation looks like month 1 is going to be all about you creating the North Star, getting clear and having a vision through the subconscious work to start with some inner work that will guide you in defining your ideal outcome for your life. Because at the end of the day, a man without a purpose is like a ship without a rudder, right? And if a ship is without a rudder, it doesn't know where it's going. It's going to be stuck in circles. And I don't want you to live your life like that. Additionally, you'll immediately begin to reduce inflammation through an elimination diet protocol. So we address it from all the things. Psychosomatic, meaning mindset and emotions, as well as in all the things that you do. So there's clear alignment always in who you're becoming and being in your life, shifting your identity always and holding you accountable for that. All that support is what's lacking. We need the connection and the love, but that's not being had in normal holistic space. It's divided further by week and going deeper into those lessons. And month 2 is all about subconscious identity. We're all hardwired to think, feel, and act in a certain way. This hardwired programming is often what drives our lives, which can also be the thing that is most destructive. So I bring awareness to that so that you can be aware, because you can't fix something that you're not aware of. Week by week, we kind of uncover these things. So it's layer by layer, strategically placed so that you can go deeper within. Month 3 is all about subconscious values. Your core values need to be clear and center in making forward progress in the direction you want. But too often you're not aligned with your core values simply because you don't know what they are. You've learned your values from other people. You've been living your life for other people based on what they value. You don't even know what they are. So I bring that to your awareness. Additionally, this is the month where you start the alkaline detox protocol to optimize metabolism, detoxification, elimination. So it becomes a full mind, body, spirit transformation so that you start to feel good. You start to be clear and you start to gain the confidence and momentum, and you start to make the serious shift that you've been longing to make all your life. In month 3, you'll begin our signature alkaline detox protocol, like I said, and it consists of 3 essential phases. There's the prep phase, because you can't just blindly go, because I want to set you up for success. And so we talk about all the prep work that's required to clean out your pantry, your refrigerator. It's step by step to get organized. And if you have to feed your family, I give you strategies around exactly what that looks like so you stay successful. The detox phase then starts. It's 28 days of very guided, simple, very planned out protocol that I give you with no guesswork, where you really go deep to detox all the things physiologically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually by following a specific protocol to clean you out and have an anti-inflammatory and gut healing effect. and then start the reintroduction phase for 45 days, where this is where you start to add in the foods that you want to kind of bring back into your diet and see how you respond to them. You become connected to your own body, start to read into the receptors and signaling that your body's been giving you. And I teach you how to do that food by food group so that you can kind of know. And we kind of have a strategy around how to go about doing that to make sure you have a healthy, balanced diet. Month 4 is all about subconscious reprogramming. Once we identify what your subconscious identity and values are, we then have to reprogram this so that you can live out your new identity, right? You have to get rid of old limiting beliefs that you've been holding on to, and you must reprogram your hardwired beliefs and assumptions that tend to keep you stuck. I make sure that we debunk all of it, and it is in learning to reprogram your beliefs to be in alignment with your true core values and vision that you can create the healthiest life, not just in your physicality. You start to have better relationships with your health, with other people, as well as financially. You're able to be abundant because in the way you think about it, because everything in life is energy, is what I teach you. Month 5 is all about habits. The focus of this month is all about habits because we are our habits. And keep in mind, when I talk about these little things on months, there's constant functional medicine and modern medicine liaison and work being had under the surface to really address all the core things that you need from a medical standpoint, right? Functional medicine, I become the liaison for you to have a voice with your doctor to know exactly, and you upload your labs and you keep coming to the coaching calls on top. So these are all added bonuses for the month by month. Month 6 is all about commitment and looking at what that commitment is. You're either committed to wellness or you're committed to illness. And I make you see what that looks like. With autoimmunity, you're not committed to wellness. You will be subject to sickness. And if you're sick, I teach you how to really look in the mirror and take full responsibility and shift what needs to be shifted. Month 7 is all about difference between proactive versus being reactive. Being proactive and planning out where you want to go is a sure way to gain the skills that you need to establish the result that you want. Versus being reactive, it really reveals that you're living based on circumstances, and that's something we want to get away from. Month 8 is all about self-integrity, working towards self-love. When you're self-integral, that means you keep the promises to yourself, not only to other people, but you keep the promise to yourself. You start to gain and cultivate this self-integrity, self-confidence, self-regard, and self-respect. And you then have just the most assurant confidence that you never had before through that process. Month 9 is all about making decisions because you have to make decisions every day. It's an indecision where we don't make a decision that we waver back and forth. I make sure you have complete choice over everything that you do, good or bad or indifferent. You have to make the choice and have your own back in the process. And that's how you develop making decisions, and just making decisions become easier and easier. Month 10 is all about mastering relationships with yourself, with your money, with your health, as well as with other people, setting clear boundaries around the love and stemming from self-love, self-regard, and self-respect. Month 11 is all about emotional maturity because many of the adults live in emotional immaturity. We get angered, easily get spiked, and easily get triggered. We don't have that anymore. We're able to have complete command over our own emotions. We elevate our ways of being. We elevate our consciousness, you guys, and that's the benefit of the program. Month 12 is all about living your purpose and really getting clear about what it is that you want to live and accomplish, making the impossible possible, right? And these are some of the things that you can expect. Fast action bonus if you sign up before the close to Tuesday night at midnight is Alkaline Success Method. It's a 12-month boot campy program that I created to get underneath the self-sabotaging tendencies, addressing your different self-sabotaging tendencies from day by day to make sure that I set you up for success. Fast action bonus 2 is ant clearing meditation, something that you can do that I created so that you can listen to it to reprogram your mind, to really reprogram all the negative thoughts out of your consciousness. And then you're able to have a clean slate towards the future that you want to create. Fast action bonus number 3 is autoimmune yoga therapy library. It's like having physical therapists, me, in your household. We have so many, over 100 recorded video libraries of all the classes. And this is on top of the live sessions you get as part of the program. So these are the 3 bonuses that you have. And I highly encourage you to go ahead and sign up for a discovery call with Jessie, our advisor, to see if this program is right for you. Don't hold off, you guys. Every time we go, there's different energy, and you're going to regret not taking up on this. Every day that goes by, every 6 months, a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, think about where you'll be. You have the opportunity to drastically shift the way you live your life and really choose yourself in the process and choose to heal yourself once and for all. Everybody that comes into the program, I guarantee you they've been seeing a naturopath, conventional medical doctor, acupuncturist, chiropractor. They've done it all. Nothing has worked. They came to this program understanding that was the inner turmoil. 100% of the time, they all work through some past traumas, and they're able to really see a lot of the things that they were completely unaware of. And as we bring that to the surface, the revelations that we experience together, it's tears of joy, tears of reawakening and reckoning and recognizing and really letting go of self-betrayal on the path to self-love, self-regard, and self-respect, so much so that you live in full harmony of what it feels like to be truly you in all aspects. And your relationships, your life, and your abundance, everything improves in the process. And you become empowered to live this way so that after the year, you're empowered to self-heal. You never have to be dependent on yet another program or another diet or another supplement, circling with minimal effects, right? So it's an opportunity for you to heal once and for all. I am so confident of this work that it's the ultimate one that is missing. Proof is in the pudding. Read the reviews and understand that that's what it takes, you guys. And I know if you're here and you're listening to me, something resonates with you and you know in the heart of hearts, this is it. And if you find yourself talking yourself out of it, ask yourself, do I want to repeat the same pattern for another 6 months, for another year? What would my next 5 years look like? Stop the cycle of misery and living in fear and suffering, because fear is the ultimate parasite to your health. And I want to give you and gift you the gift of life and abundance, because it's your opportunity for growth and abundance with me in this program. I hope you decide to work with me. Get on a call, find out what this program is all worth to you, and really get real with yourself. No matter what, tomorrow I'm going to be returning here at the same time at 11 a.m. to answer any of the questions. So please ask away any of the questions you might have. My team will gather them. We have a spreadsheet of questions that you've been asking. So I'm going to come live and address all those questions. So please ask away, and I hope to serve you. I look forward to working with you. The best work I've ever done, the most edifying work, my life's purpose to end all unnecessary suffering in the lives of so many pre-autoimmune as well as autoimmune patients, to feel like they can finally heal themselves and come home to themselves, to live the most abundant life that they never thought that was possible for them, because they felt like it was broken. All that limiting beliefs has to go, you guys, because there's a new future for you. I'm living proof of that. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Give yourself this gift this year. Don't hesitate. I am so confident, like I said, that you will transform your life. Get on a call. Thank you so much for being here. And I'll see you guys all here at 11 a.m. as well as You guys have a replay tonight at 8 p.m. You have access to all the videos. If you're just joining us, you have the access to all the videos until midnight Tuesday night. Time is clicking. Please get on a call, sign up, work with us. And really, this is more about you choosing yourself and choosing the path of healing once and for all. Thank you guys, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow.